Today I wanted to cover some things that you might consider when looking at building a log cabin. The selection for your logs and the style that you're going to go with have a lot to do with your personal preference, but also there's a lot to consider when you take into account your environment. So here in Missouri, we have a lot of humidity and a lot of rain. So going with round logs ended up not being a real good choice. Round logs tend to hold moisture and they can rot really easily. A lot of the old timers in this area that we've spoken with have advised going with a hewn log or a milled log like these because of the fact that it's able to dry and keep from rotting. There's a lot of dovetail style cabins that are still standing in this area that are over 200 years old. And the reason why is they didn't rot. If you live out west where it's a lot drier climate, round logs fit the environment much better. Oftentimes you can buy those logs already standing and dry, but in this area or anywhere south of here, a hewn log or a milled log is going to do a lot better for the environment. As a DIYer, one of the next things to consider is one of the greatest benefits of building with this style of log is that you can build with green logs. You don't have to have kiln dried logs or wait years for them to air dry. The next thing I'd like to cover is the style of joinery on your corners. There's many different types. There's a button pass where this log would come long and the log coming into it from this side would actually stop short and just butt up to the face of this log. Then the next one would run long. That's an okay style. We prefer the dovetail. It looks much cleaner, but the biggest benefit with this is a full compound dovetail actually locks together the very tightest of any of the joints that are used in log cabin building. The dovetail joint, the longer it sits, the tighter these joints actually lock together. The grains of the wood actually start locking together more and more because of the compression and the weight that you have stacked on these joints. The dovetail joint is actually a very complicated joint, especially a full compound dovetail, but with the jigs that we build, it's actually a very simple joint to cut and you can do it perfectly every time. The next thing I want to talk about is the chink gap. These gaps here are called chink gaps and you would fill those with chinking. There's a couple of different styles. There's sort of a cement-based chinking, and then there's a newer style that's similar to like window and door caulking. It's called permachink. It goes in and it stays flexible, and it's probably the most durable, but it's also the most expensive. The reason why we leave a chink gap is one, for log drying. As you stack this structure, those logs are drying the entire time that you're building on it. So if it takes you a month or 6 months, these logs are actually drying and doing you a favor so that you don't have any of the rot. There's a lot of people that would like to have a zero chink gap so the logs are actually sitting tight together. But because of water issues and rot, that's actually a pretty poor idea, especially with green logs. If you have access to kiln dried logs or logs that are under 12% moisture that have been air dried, you can probably get away with it, but there still is a lot of potential for rot when those logs are sitting tight together. When you order a jig, we can actually custom build one with a little bit larger or a little bit smaller chink gap if that's something that you prefer, but we don't recommend going with a zero chink gap. To wrap this all up, when you consider first of all your location, then the types of logs and the style that you're going to be building, we really believe that the dovetail style cabin or house are probably the very best for the DIYer. You can buy the logs or mill them yourself, and with our jigs you can cut the dovetails that are super strong. Really, it just makes the most sense, and it's very easy for the DIYer as compared to round logs or a different style of construction.